Running up the score.
It looks like I'm a wreck. It's in the hole! It's in the hole!
Forget about the curveball, Ricky. Give him a heater.
Jerry.
Well, we just don't have enough time for that.
You're very funny, Jerry. That's what I always tell people. Jerry's a funny guy. Funny guy! Right here!
Tom.
Give me a break. Good joke.
Pick up that piece of trash, Tom. Tuck in your shirt. What are you doing? Have a sense of pride, huh? In fact, why don't you take a lap? Go run a lap! I'm timing you!
Kevin.
Ben is unique. These guys are unique. They're championship runs. I mean, this one's unique.
You beat Kevin down Cherry Hill?
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown. I amuse you. I make you laugh.
I don't think you should be butting in when I'm talking to my team. You're my assistant, okay? You're supposed to back me up and go get me juice boxes when I tell you. Now go get me a juice box.
This is Running Up the Score.
All right, it's time to run up the score. Running up the score with Jerry Napoleonello, 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. Brought to you by Yell-Fi Sports app. We're live on Zeno Live and Periscope. The call-in number is, as always, 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. We have a lot to get to today. My goodness, we are about 10 days removed from the Warriors winning their second championship in 3 years. And one of the most disappointing postseasons in the NBA in a very long time. The regular season was okay. But these past 5 days or so have surpassed the regular season, the postseason, and the finals in fun. Man, all these rumors, trades, everything going down in the NBA right now is great. Next season is not just going to be the summer of Paul George. There might be an even bigger name on the market. I'll let you know who that is. The Lakers are on their way back. All they needed was a little magic. Are the Cavs actually falling apart a few days removed from their third straight finals appearance? There's so much we have for you today. NBA news, Major League Baseball news, some NFL news, and of course NHL Expansion Draft tonight. I'm excited. We're going to get into all of these and much, much more. Got a great show ahead of us. Thank you to our sponsor, Yell-Fi Sports app. You can download the app from the iTunes App Store by searching Yell-Fi. It's spelled YELLFY. Make sure to follow me at Jerry RUTS Sports and Tom at Tom RUTS Sports, and we'll shoot you a follow back. It's a great app, but first, remember to join in with our conversation through the next hour here by calling in at 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live, or tweet us at RUTS Sports. You can also follow us on Instagram at RUTS Sports, and like our page on Facebook, and share us. Please share us. There's no other place that I should be starting at than the NBA postseason. Offseason, I should say, at least. There's a lot going down. A lot has gone down the last 2 days, at least. The Lakers made a trade with the Nets. The Lakers are bringing in Brook Lopez and the 27th pick to L.A. And shipping off D'Angelo Russell and Timofey Mozgov to the Brooklyn Nets. Now, this is big, mainly, and I like the trade overall because I like Brook Lopez. And obviously, if you know me, you know I'm a Lakers fan. So I'm a big fan of Brook Lopez. I've always been a big fan of Brook Lopez. He's great on the offensive side of the ball. He's a big, rebounding center. Something that the Lakers have needed probably since, I'm not going to say as far as Shaq because we've had Andrew Bynum in recent memory. Pau Gasol played a little center, but he wasn't really a center. He was a power forward. But this is big. I like bringing in Brook Lopez. I know it's only for right now, it's only for this upcoming year. He's got an expiring contract. The biggest part of this trade was the Lakers getting rid of Timofey Mozgov and that hideous contract that they gave him. So that's huge. D'Angelo Russell was just a piece to add to that trade so that they, basically would let the trade go down. So that's big. And all of this is happening so that they can free up space to bring in Paul George and potentially another max contract. And there's a lot of speculation that it's going to be LeBron James. Everybody knows that I'm not a big fan of LeBron James. And I know that plenty of people are going to laugh if it does happen. But before we even get into that, because I'll get into that, the Hawks and Hornets just made a trade yesterday. Dwight Howard, which was actually, there's a funny story about this. The NBA actually had him tweeting from the NBA handle, basically talking about the trades and everything like that, and just basically he wanted to get into contact with the fans on Twitter to just reach out and see, talk about the offseason. After he sent his first tweet, that's when this trade went down. Dwight Howard was traded from Atlanta to Charlotte along with the 31st pick. And the Atlanta Hawks got in return Marco Bellinelli, Miles Plumlee, and the 41st pick in that trade. Obviously, all this is going down because the NBA draft is tomorrow, and it's going to be an interesting one. And a trade that happened earlier, which immediately impacted this draft tomorrow, was the Celtics trading the first pick to the 76ers for the third pick. Okay. There's a lot more to this. Boston gets the number 3 pick in Thursday's draft from Philadelphia, plus either a first-rounder in 2018 and 2019. If the Los Angeles Lakers hold a pick between the number 2 and the number 5 next season, Boston gets that one. If not, Philadelphia will send Boston either its own first-rounder in 2019 or Sacramento's first-rounder that year. The Lakers are not going to have the 2nd or the 5th pick this year. I don't believe. But we'll see. That's also because I think that the Lakers are going to pull off a trade to get Paul George to the Lakers this year rather than waiting until next year. So we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on that. But right now, obviously, the 76ers have already basically said that they are taking Markelle Fultz. So Markelle Fultz will go number 1, with the Lakers making that trade to send D'Angelo Russell to the Nets. That opens up a spot at point guard. Obviously, Lonzo Ball is a point guard. They bring in Lonzo Ball in the number 2 pick. The number 3 pick is where everybody is going to be watching, at the edge of their seat, really, because this could be anybody. This could be Josh Jackson. This could be, Jason Tatum. There's been talks about both with the Celtics. Who knows? It's going to be interesting. It should be fun. I think the trades that are going to happen throughout this draft is what's going to make this draft even better, what makes this offseason even better. I said earlier that this offseason has done so much more than the regular season, the postseason, and the finals. And I'll even say put it together and you get the offseason. There's just so many rumors going around right now. The whole thing with the Cavs and David Griffin have parted ways now, which is not a good thing for the Cavaliers. And I don't think Dan Gilbert even knows what he's doing. I know that they butted heads on what they want their future to be. But it's just going to be interesting to see how this goes down with the Cavaliers, because the Cavaliers organization right now is in turmoil. Because when you're talking about the Cavaliers, you're talking about, all right, do we make a few more trades and try to bring in a Jimmy Butler or a Paul George and kind of give up the future for one more championship? Or do we actually sit there and say, oh, you know what? Maybe we should think about the future. Maybe we should trade LeBron James. This David Griffin parting ways with the Cavaliers was not the right move, I think, in LeBron James' eyes. LeBron James put out a tweet saying if nobody appreciated you, I did, something like that. That's a shot at Dan Gilbert. And the thing is, with this whole relationship with LeBron James and Gilbert, they don't like each other. And they haven't liked each other since the departure, the first time, from Cleveland with LeBron James. And Dan Gilbert had a letter and basically called out LeBron James, did this, that, did that, all this stuff. And the biggest thing was, LeBron James didn't take it well. He didn't like it. He still does not like Dan Gilbert because of that. He did not come to Cleveland. He didn't come back to Cleveland because of Dan Gilbert. He came back to Cleveland because he felt like he owed them something. He felt like he owed them a championship. He wanted to bring a championship back home. That was the biggest thing. He did that. And he got them to two other plus, well, technically 3 in a row and won 1. So there's a lot to do with this. And David Griffin was the one thing that kind of kept LeBron James in Cleveland. He had a good relationship with him. Because at first there was a lot of things going on when they brought in like Iman Shumpert, J.R. Smith, and everything like that. LeBron James wanted J.R. Smith. The Cleveland Cavaliers did not want to bring in J.R. Smith at all. They didn't think he was mature enough, this, that. And LeBron James said, listen, let me just bring him in and I'll take care of that. And David Griffin believed in LeBron James, rightfully so. Again, I don't like LeBron James, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm like backing him up here. But I'm just speaking here as a sports radio host that has got to talk about this. Basically, I have to talk about it. And this is what I was saying earlier. 2018 potentially could be, well, it should be the summer of Paul George, depending on what happens this year. I mean, if he gets traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, obviously there's no summer of Paul George because he'll end up signing with them because that's what he wants to do. He wants to sign with the Los Angeles Lakers. But if he doesn't get traded to the Lakers this year, say he gets traded to Cleveland, or wherever else, I don't know. It's going to be the summer of Paul George, and he's going to sign with the Lakers. He's already said it. I think he did it right by telling Indiana he's not going to re-sign with them after this year, because it gives them time to get something going, get something back for him. It's kind of hard because it's him saying that he wants to go to the Lakers is basically kind of shorthanding the Indiana Pacers here, because the Pacers are sitting there and trying to trade Paul George, and if they're not able to get a good deal from the Lakers and they don't want to trade him to the Lakers, it's going to be hard for them to trade him anywhere else because they're renting him. And you're not going to get that much back for Paul George. So Paul George, by him telling Indiana he's not going to sign back with them, great move by him. Great move by him. I like the move. That was the man thing to do. LeBron James doing what he did to Cleveland the first time, not the man thing to do. But Paul George did it the manly way, telling Indiana, I'm not going to play games with you. I'm leaving after this year. So do whatever you got to do. But then he kind of shorthanded them by saying, I want to go to the Lakers. I want to sign with the Lakers. So I think it's great. I think it's a great move. If Indiana can move him, if they can move him to the Lakers, I think it's a great move by the Lakers. I don't want to give up Jordan Clarkson. I would rather not give up Julius Randle, but it kind of seems like you're going to have to give up one of them. I would not give up the number 2 pick. And, a lot of people are questioning that. You know what? You could get Paul George, who's a top 15 player in the league, top 10 player if you want to say. I don't know about top 10, but top 15 player. The thing is, for the Lakers, they're going to get him next year. No matter what, they're going to get him next year. So why trade your number 2 pick? Especially that kind of just took it off the table by the trade to the Nets. You traded D'Angelo Russell. Who are you going to have at the point guard position? So I like what the Lakers are doing. The Lakers are back. The Lakers are back. They're ready. And if it's not going to be this year, I can guarantee you it's going to be next year. They're going to be ready. I'm excited to see Lonzo Ball in a Lakers uniform. I want to see how he plays in the NBA. But it's going to be exciting. It's going to be an exciting year because now it's starting to look like everything's kind of moving to the West. Now, if LeBron James leaves the Cleveland Cavaliers, which I am highly expecting, he's going to be gone next year. Hot take right now. LeBron James will not be on the Cleveland Cavaliers next year. As much as a hot take that might be, I think we all know that it's going to be like that. He's not going to be on the Cleveland Cavaliers next year. And there's talks that he's going to be going to L.A. Whether it's the Clippers, which they brought in Jerry West, which is a LeBron James move. That's why the Clippers made that move, was to bring in LeBron. Bringing in Jerry West was to bring in LeBron James. That's right there. LeBron James. Now, and again, I don't want to see him in a Lakers uniform. I don't like LeBron James. And you could call me insane all you want, but I don't want to see it. Because I don't want to have to root for LeBron James to win a championship. I'd rather see him left out at 3. But it looks like it's going to happen. And the thing is here, you're looking at such a prestigious organization in the Los Angeles Lakers. You're looking at one of the top players ever to play the game in LeBron James. That relationship right there is just going to make it better for LeBron James. It really is. So I don't really know what else to say, but I expect LeBron James to be off the Cleveland Cavaliers next year. Jimmy Butler, there was rumors to be heading to Cleveland. Then there's rumors that Cleveland players were warning him not to go. If LeBron James does leave next year, Kyrie Irving's going to be demanding a trade. I love Kyrie Irving. But we're going to have to see how that goes. Again, like I said, LeBron James is not going to be on the Cleveland Cavaliers next year. But now the Cavs players are coming out saying they denied warning Butler. Jimmy Butler says he wants to stay in Chicago. Who knows if that's true, but we'll see. Jimmy Butler, if he's on the move, it's probably going to be to Cleveland or to Boston. And again, talking about the whole David Griffin thing, the Cavs are looking at Chauncey Billups for a replacement. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. And there's, a lot of people were posting the video of Chauncey Billups saying that the Cleveland Cavaliers should trade for Carmelo Anthony. So now they're saying, if Billups is the GM of the Cleveland Cavaliers, then they're going to go and try to trade for Melo. And I think they should. I don't think it's going to make them better. I don't think it's going to make them I don't think it's going to put them at the Warriors level. I don't. And we were talking about it last week. I don't think that there's any move that the Cavaliers could make to make them better than the Warriors. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see it. So you're looking at a team that beat the Warriors in a Game 7 without a Kevin Durant. Then the next year, the Warriors add the number 2 best player in the league in Kevin Durant. You're not adding the number 3. You're not adding the number 1 because you already have the number 1. And you're not adding the 2 because he's in Golden State. So it's just not going to happen. I don't see anything putting them above the Warriors. The Rockets are eyeing Blake Griffin, Kyle Lowry, and Paul Millsap. Paul Millsap could be on the move, and it looks like it's probably going to happen because this whole thing with Dwight Howard being traded, it's looking like Paul Millsap could be out of town in July. Brian Windhorst of ESPN said the Hawks are sending a signal that they are going into full rebuild mode, and it would also imply that Millsap probably will not be back with the organization. He also added there are 3 or 4 teams out there that are willing to give Millsap a max-level contract, and sources have told me that the Hawks have begun getting some feelers on sign and trades. Teams like Phoenix Suns, Sacramento Kings, and the Denver Nuggets are interested. Supposedly the Nuggets have had interest in Millsap for over a year now, so that's huge. The Suns, Kings, and also the Nuggets are set to have significant cap room in July. Each may extend an offer that Millsap will take. Also, Patrick Beverley is on the trade block. A fan wrote to Beverley on Twitter that he should ignore the report and was going to get that he wasn't going to get traded. He responded to it saying, "Nah, I wouldn't say that." Then another fan said he should come home. Beverley wrote, "I know, right? That would be dope." Beverley was born in Chicago, has a cap-friendly contract as he is set to make $5.5 million in 2017-18 and $5.5 million in 2018-19, although the final season of his contract is not guaranteed. Last year, he averaged 9.5 points, 4.2 assists, and 5.9 rebounds. The Rockets want to extend James Harden's contract beyond 2020, which, I mean, you had to see that coming. We knew that was going to happen. We move on. I hope, everybody watched the 30 for 30 with the Lakers and the Celtics. I thought that was a great series. 30 for 30. I mean, ESPN does so well with that stuff. I love those documentary type videos and stuff like that. I thought it was a great one. It also helps that I'm a Lakers fan, so it was nice to, go back and watch. Obviously I wasn't around for the 80s. I'm only 26, so I caught the 90s, and I caught the, Kobe and Shaq era. That whole era with, Rick Fox, Robert Horry, Derek Fisher, Ron Harper at one time, Karl Malone, Gary Payton at one time. So this 30 for 30 was awesome that I got to, sit there and watch. And I mean, it was 3 parts, so it was even better. I thought it was a great thing to watch. And also, when people talk about how this is so great for basketball when it comes to the Warriors and the Cavs playing each other every year, it's nothing like the Lakers and the Celtics. Nothing like the Lakers and the Celtics. First of all, the Lakers and the Celtics completely hated each other. But it also, the other thing is, they didn't play each other every year. Yes, one of them was in the championship for a decade. So from 80 to 90, one of them was in the championship. But it was mixed in with, the Sixers, the Rockets, the Sixers, then it was the Lakers and the Celtics. So it was nice to have, the Lakers and the Celtics play one year. Then all of a sudden the Lakers and the Sixers play the next year. Then all of a sudden they play each other 2 years in a row. Like, it was like, you know what? All right, well, we got the Lakers and the Celtics this year in the finals. And then it was like, now we have to wait another year to check that out. That's why it was cool. That's why it was interesting at that time. It's not like it is now, because now you're going into the season, no matter how good the Celtics and the Lakers were back then, you're looking at it right now, and there's no competition. There's no competition to the Warriors and the Cavaliers, which it's going to turn now because LeBron James is definitely going to be leaving the Cleveland Cavaliers, so it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But I liked how that whole thing went. I liked how their 30 for 30 was. It was awesome. If you haven't seen it, go check it out now. ESPN2 has been playing it like every day for the last 2 weeks. So it's definitely something to catch. I have a quick mock draft of the NBA for tomorrow. It's out of ESPN magazine. So we'll see how we do here. This is obviously before the Celtics made their trade, but we're going to basically switch it here because the 76ers will select Markelle Fultz. The Lakers will select Lonzo Ball. The Celtics will take Josh Jackson. That's how they have it here. They obviously have the Celtics taking Fultz and the 76ers taking Josh Jackson. Flip those teams. I think it's still going to be Josh Jackson at 3, but there's been talks of Jason Tatum. Then they have 4, De'Aaron Fox going to Phoenix. The Kings taking Jason Tatum. Magic taking Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac's been stepping up the draft here the last week or so. Lauri Markkanen to the Timberwolves. The Knicks taking Malik Monk. Mavericks taking Dennis Smith. I've been hearing a lot of Dennis Smith lately. There's also been talks with the Knicks that they might trade Porzingis. And I want to talk about, obviously we'll go to 10 here. Kings take Frank Talina, whatever his name is. He's from France. Before I get to the break here, talking about the Knicks with trading Porzingis. All right. Porzingis is not the savior of the Knicks. Phil Jackson's not the savior of the Knicks, but I think, as much as everybody wants to kill Phil Jackson, I don't think you can. Why are everybody jumping to conclusions here that he wants to get fired, so he's doing this, he's doing that to try to get fired. He's doing it to kill the Knicks, this, that. It's stupid. It really is stupid. I don't like that kind of talk. And I like when it comes to Phil Jackson and the Knicks. And I've said it from the start when they added Phil Jackson, this wasn't going to be the new coming of the Knicks. It's not going to happen. They've killed themselves so much leading to bring in Phil Jackson that no matter what Phil Jackson's going to do, it's not going to help the Knicks. They have to get rid of Carmelo Anthony. I've said it for the last 5 years. They have to get rid of Carmelo Anthony. Porzingis, you might get more back for Porzingis. Do anybody realize that? Porzingis is not going to bring your team back to a championship right now. And it's not going to be for a while. For them to even try to even get to a championship, it's not going to be for a while. So, Knicks fans, I hope you're ready for that. But Porzingis is not the one that's going to bring you to a championship. He needs more people around him, and what they have right now is not going to happen. So when we're talking about Phil Jackson, we're talking about the Knicks, why don't you just sit back and let him do his thing? Let him just do his thing. Because maybe he knows what he's doing. And him trading Porzingis will get you a lot back. You might be able to move up in the draft, which, I mean, you're at 8. The NBA draft is so overrated, I feel like, to be honest with you. I would rather have a veteran rather than bring in a 19-year-old rookie, and I think that they should adopt the NFL rule where you have to be in college for 2 years or so to get drafted. That's how I feel, but, it's whatever. But when we get back, we got some expansion draft to talk. That's tonight at 8 o'clock, so I'll talk about that for a little bit. Some NFL and the word tanking. We really don't hear about it much. We hear it mostly in hockey and basketball, but it's starting to become relevant in NFL. We're going to talk some baseball as well. MLB draft we'll talk about as well. And then Mayweather, Mcgregor, I didn't talk about it much the last 2 weeks or so. And I'll talk about it a little bit. I'm not going to get into into it crazy here, but I'm going to get into it a little bit because it's in August. Once August comes around, we'll talk about it like crazy. But we'll talk about what the parameters are for that fight when we get back. You're listening to Running Up the Score.
All Noise Radio, powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. All Noise Radio is an internet radio station that's fully produced by graduates of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. From modern rock to old school hip hop, country to classical, news, talk, sports, and more. It's the noise you can't ignore. Log on to allnoiseradio.com. Fire up the station. Find out more about your favorite jocks. Get the latest CSB news and more. Plus, you can take All Noise Radio with you on the go for free. Just download the Live 365 app to your iPhone, iPod Touch, or BlackBerry and search All Noise Radio. Check out tomorrow's broadcasters today at allnoiseradio.com. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Hey, this is Jerry Napoleonello, host of Running Up the Score. We are live once every week at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we hit on all the top headlines in the world of sports. You can also find us on Stitcher, iTunes, and those of you that like the visual aspect, check us out on YouTube. Running Up the Score. We run up the score on Sports Radio.
Cyberstation USA is the future of radio. Get your business into the online future at the world's largest internet radio station. From banner placement on our homepage to any of our broadcaster stages, commercials on our video player, audio spots on any of our shows, or at the beginning of any of our on-demand broadcasts. Cyberstation USA offers competitive rates with a worldwide reach, a fully integrated one-stop-shop social media broadcast platform. For more information, please contact our sales department at Cameo at cyberstationusa.com.
Likes a curly-headed cutie I could turn into my wife. Wait, that means forever, ever hold up, never mind. Oh, I spy with my little eye. A girly I can get cause she don't get too many likes. A curly-headed cutie I could turn into my wife. Wait, that means forever, ever hold up, never mind. Oh, I spy with my little eye. I spy
All right. We have our first expansion draft in the NHL since 2000, when it was the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Minnesota Wild. 17 years later, we have the Las Vegas Golden Knights that will be joining the NHL. But first, call in at 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. You can also follow and tweet us at RUTS Sports, as well as follow us on Instagram at RUTS Sports. Check out our website, www.rutsports.weebly.com. Let's get into some Las Vegas Golden Knights here. But before we get into that, I got my sponsor. Doesn't it get annoying when you're watching sports? Let's say you want to send a text to your friend or tweet something out about the game or check your fantasy team, or hey, how about you want to go to the game and even set up a tailgate, and you have to go to all these different apps, websites, etc. to do all of that. What if you could just go to one place for all of this? Well, I'm here to tell you there is a place like that. Yelphi Sports app. You can get a detailed real-time scores, stats, news, rumors, fantasy news, team and player comparisons, built-in social network feature, which is integrated with Twitter and Facebook. Create private one-to-one or group chats with your friends, buy and sell tickets, host a tailgate party, or even a pickup game. One Sports for all of your sports information. Make sure you go download Yelphi Sports app in the iTunes App Store. Yelphi, the only sports app you need. So, we got the NHL Expansion Draft tonight at 8 o'clock. It's about an hour away. And, there's been obviously leaks going around about the Expansion Draft and what the Golden Knights will be taking. If nobody really knows exactly how this goes, or the rules for it, and basically, because there's been a lot of talk about it, but there really hasn't been much basically saying what it is or how it's going to work and this and that. So this is what I'm going to tell you. All right, clubs will have two options for players they wish to protect in the expansion draft, and I have the list for the teams, who they're protecting, who they're not protecting. But you have 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 1 goaltender that you can protect, or 8 skaters, forwards or defensemen, and 1 goaltender. All players who have currently effective and continuing non-movement clauses at the time of the expansion draft, and who decline to waive such clauses, must be protected. All first and second year professionals, as well as all unsigned draft choices, will be exempt from the selection and will not be counted toward their club's applicable protection limits. All clubs must meet the following minimum requirements regarding players exposed for selection in the expansion draft. 1 defenseman who is A, under contract in 2017-18, and B, played in 40 or more NHL games prior to season, or played in 70 or more NHL games in the prior 2 seasons. 2 forwards who are A, under contract in 2017 and played 40 or more NHL games the prior season, or played 70 games. So that's how, whatever. Same thing goes for the goaltender. The Las Vegas franchise must select 1 player from each presently existing club for a total of 30 players, not including additional players who may be acquired as a result of violations of the expansion draft rules. The Las Vegas franchise must select the following numbers of players at each position: 14 forwards, 9 defensemen, and 3 goaltenders. The Las Vegas franchise must select a minimum of 20 players who are under contract in 2017-2018. So that's how that's going to go. So that's what you're going to see tonight. You're going to see, because they already have their list of players who they selected from all the teams. And, they had a list that went down 2 days ago or so. of all the teams, who they're protecting, who they're not protecting. I'm not going to go into all of that because it's a crazy list. So if you want to go check that out before the 8 o'clock mark. So far, up until Sunday, I have a bunch of things that went down. Montreal was avoiding loyalty in letting Thomas Plekanec go. The Devils list was kind of surprising. Peter Mrázek is somehow exposed to the draft. Nothing about the Oilers list is shocking. One unprotected forward is surprising for the Flyers. Then you had the Panthers may lose their best scorer from last season. The Senators are trying to trade Dion Phaneuf. Columbus traded its first pick to Las Vegas. Per reports, it kind of feels like the Devils won't make a trade after all. We had the Islanders did not ask Andrew Ladd or Johnny Boychuk to waive their non-movement clause. Per the New York Post, the Rangers will not ask Mark Stahl or Dan Girardi to waive their no-trade clauses. Marc-Andre Fleury has agreed to waive his no-trade clause ahead of the expansion draft, which we knew was going to happen because we knew he was going to he's going to be their goalie, basically, because it's either Matt Murray or Marc-Andre Fleury. They can't keep both. So that's interesting. Marc-Andre Fleury is the best out there, so he'll be their goalie for the time being in Las Vegas. So now we go to move to some other things here. Here we go. According to Newsday, the New York Islanders will send a first-round pick in 2017 and center Mikhail Grabovski to the Knights to steer them away from several players such as Brock Nelson, Ryan Strome, and Calvin DeHaan. In the expansion draft, there was talk that the Knights would select Mikhail Grabovski's friend and line mate Nikolai Kulemin as part of the arrangement. The situation was intriguing because McPhee was a front office consultant with the Islanders before joining Vegas. So there's like the last couple of months or so, or even last year or so, there's been a lot of things that have gone down with teams because of the expansion draft. There was trades that have gone down because of the expansion draft. There were, now you got teams making deals with the Knights so that they don't touch a certain player or they don't do this. So it's like really scheming on ways to do things, and it's funny if you really think about it. I think it's hilarious how this whole thing goes. You're basically, scheming on ways to keep your players. I don't know if I have a list. I think I have a list of some of the players that were taken on my phone. So we got they selected David Perron from the Blues. They have also taken they were taking they also their new uniforms came out yesterday, which was because Adidas took over the equipment, and some of them are nice, some of them are bad. Nashville really killed their uniforms. If you haven't checked them out, go check them out. I like Las Vegas's uniform. I really do. I have to say, I really do like their uniforms. But it's going to be interesting. I've been excited for this expansion draft for a while. I wanted to see how it would work because I don't really remember the 2000 expansion draft or the 99 expansion draft. There was a couple of them, a couple of years. So, yeah, I don't remember how those went. So I was definitely excited and hyped up for this, and how they were going to do it. So that's basically how they did. So moving on to some NFL news. Derek Carr is closing in on a huge deal with Oakland that would probably bring him in $25 million per year. So that's big for Oakland. They got to lock him up. How about, we were talking about this, I don't know if it was last week or the week before. Me and Tom were talking about it and how the Jets made their moves and basically dropped off David Harris, dropped Eric Decker, and we were talking about how they didn't really do right by David Harris. I don't think David Harris felt that, I think David Harris felt the same way that we did, that the Jets didn't do him right, and he signed with the New England Patriots. That's awesome. So now, what I was talking about before, and tanking in all the other sports. With the NBA draft approaching, you always hear the word tanking. You always hear it. So when you're talking about NFL, it's hard. Like, you don't really see it as much, or you don't hear it as much. But you could say maybe the Cleveland Browns maybe were thinking about doing it when they brought in Paul DePodesta. So that was interesting. Now, when we're talking about tanking in the NFL, let's kind of go over the advantages. Now, ESPN put out an article. I have it here, and I'm going to kind of go over how it went. Now, the advantages of tanking in the NFL: there's no lottery. Teams that tank in the NBA and the NHL don't always see a top pick as a return for their efforts. The Sixers have spent the last 4 years tanking, but only earned one first overall pick through the draft. Obviously, now they bring in their second, but they didn't earn that. So with their first pick, they drafted Ben Simmons. He didn't play all last year. Teams like the Buffalo Sabres and the Arizona Coyotes tanked in 2015 in hopes of grabbing star forward prospect Connor McDavid, but the Edmonton Oilers leaped them both in the NHL lottery. Buffalo ended up with Jack Eichel, which is not really terrible at all. In the NFL, if you're terrible, you'll be rewarded for your miserable season with one of the best selections available. The NFL had a lottery that gave a randomly selected team the top pick in the drafts held between 1947 and 1957. But that was a draft in an entirely different universe. If you find a superstar, he's probably yours for life. The franchise tag, high attrition rate, and partially guaranteed contracts make it far easier for NFL teams to hold on to their superstars than in the case for the NBA teams with their studs. High draft picks have more trade value in the NFL than they do in the NBA. The NFL draft's value curve is flatter than the curve Kevin Pelton estimated for the NBA, although the difference isn't quite as stark as it was before the new CBA, when Richard Thaler and Cade Massey's landmark study found second-round picks to be the most valuable selections in the draft. There are also nearly 4 times as many picks in the 7 rounds of the NFL draft as there are in the 2 lone rounds of the NBA selection process. As a result, there's far more of a trade market for picks during the NFL draft than there is during the NBA draft. Trading down is more likely to deliver useful selections in the NFL than it is in the NBA. Given the frequency with which NFL picks after the first round make an impact in contrast to those same selections in the NBA, tanking for a high pick creates the best path to a great player or an opportunity to trade for a bevy of selections. Now, the disadvantages of tanking in the NFL: it's harder to turn an NFL team around with one player. We see that with the NBA. You can do that right away. NFL, you can't. It's more difficult to scout and develop lone NFL players worth tanking for. there's so many players, and they're like it's just hard. It's hard to scout one player in the NFL. The 16-game season makes it harder to tank than an 82-game campaign, which is true because it's like, what are you going to lose every game, all 16 games? You win 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever. You could win, say you got 3 wins on the season. You go towards the end of the season and, you win that last game. You could lose that number 1 spot. So it's kind of hard. But I thought that was interesting on how that happened with football and tanking and everything like that. Now, before we get out of here, we got about 10 minutes left or so. Baseball mediocre teams are disappearing. So also talking about tanking. So we got the 2013 Astros won 51 games in the whole season that year. The 2017 team has 48 wins, and it isn't even July yet. So this is an era of tanking and rebuilding in baseball. Teams like the Cubs, the Astros drop into the cellar for a few years, stockpile talent, and then burst back into first place stronger than ever. Never before have teams so consciously chosen between contention and reconstruction. And this is, basically what we're talking about. The last time parity was lower than it has been the last 2 seasons was in 2003, when Barry Bonds could still be counted on for at least 40 home runs in a season. 6 teams are on pace by run differential for 97 win seasons, while 4 threaten to lose 97 games. The Astros aren't quite on the historic run that the Cubs managed last year, but they're close. After 72 games, the Astros project to finish the season with a run differential of plus 254, slightly better than the impressive rate the defending champions managed last year. The Yankees are just off Houston's run differential pace, riding unexpected performances to a strong bid for the division crown. The Dodgers are relying on a league-best run prevention to power an equally impressive performance. 3 of the top 6 teams in run differential, the Dodgers, Diamondbacks, and Rockies, play in the National League West, a surprisingly competitive division that also hosts 2 of the worst teams in the league. So it's kind of interesting when you really look at it on how, tanking is different in every sport and how much it works for teams like in Major League Baseball. I mean, Major League Baseball, it's so much harder to tank because you don't have that immediate difference maker. So unless you pick a Bryce Harper or a Mike Trout, they're not going to help you right away. The guys that you draft are not going to help you right away. But speaking about the Cubs and tanking and how they were bad for so many years, and now they're one of the best teams, if not they won the World Series last year. This year, they're a different team. I mean, they're not really that much of a different team, but they're struggling this year. So, speaking about the Cubs, something happened a couple of days ago, 2 days ago, I think it was. Anthony Rizzo was at third. Chris Bryant was at the plate. He hits a pop-up to center field. Rizzo tags up, comes home. The ball comes home. The catcher catches it. I mean, Anthony Rizzo was dead by a mile. Anthony Rizzo ran into the catcher. And now we all know that the rule was changed where a runner cannot take out a catcher. The MLB, Major League Baseball, said he violated home plate collision rule. But they're not disciplining him. I don't know how that works, but we're just going to keep going with it. Rizzo said he spoke to Joe Torre MLB's chief baseball officer, who told him he was in violation of Rule 7.13, which MLB introduced in 2014 to protect catchers from such collisions. Under the rule, a player may not run out of a direct line to the plate to initiate contact with the fielder, meaning the runner can't go out of his way to plow through the catcher. Andy Green, the manager of the Padres, who obviously is the manager of Hedges, who was hurt with the collision, Austin Hedges, from Milwaukee. From San Diego, I mean. Andy Green, San Diego's manager, said it was a cheap shot. It's a fairly egregious violation of the rule. The rule exists to protect the catcher. The safety of the catcher is more in jeopardy now when you have the rule to protect you because you're not expecting to get hit when you give a guy a plate like that. I'm not saying he's a dirty player at all. Nobody is saying that. But he clearly deviated from his path to hit our catcher, took our catcher out. The rule exists to protect him. It's disheartening to play. It's a disheartening play to see come out like that. Then Joe Maddon defended the play. First of all, to call it a dirty play is absolutely wrong, Maddon said Tuesday. It's not a dirty play. That's something people have been taught to say based on the ambiguous rule that's been created. I'll concede the part of it, but it's not a dirty play. So whoever's saying that, just please drop the narrative because that's not true. He also went on to say, if you look at it, really closely, the catcher starts moving toward Anthony as he catches the ball, as he's supposed to. I have no idea what Anthony's supposed to do in an attempt to be safe. The object is to score a run and be safe, and I think Anthony's best method of doing that was to do what he did. Maddon said it would be egregious if the Padres tried to retaliate for the play in Tuesday's game. Then Andy Green indicated to San Diego's 10:90 a.m. that the Padres will not seek retaliation. What do you accomplish by hitting somebody? You accomplish nothing. You put a man on first base and you give them an opportunity to win a baseball game. I think it's absolutely asinine to even take that approach. First of all, I guess I agree with both sides. I see how it is both sides. First of all, I do think they should have retaliated. I love the retaliation. And I said that since we were talking about the whole Bryce Harper thing, that whole thing. I love the retaliation. So let's stop making it a soft sport. We already made NFL a soft sport. Let's not make baseball a soft sport because the narrative for baseball is already that it's a soft sport. So let's stop taking the actual physical part out of it. I hated the whole catcher rule. I think it's stupid. And I agree with Anthony Rizzo. I mean, that's what you got to do to score a run. I agree with Joe Maddon. I don't think it's a dirty play. When we're talking about the rule, I agree with Andy Green because he definitely broke the rule. I would have liked to see some retaliation, though. But now we're talking about the same thing with the New York Yankees. Joe Girardi came out and kind of gave his opinion on it. He mentioned because of the whole thing, because the New York Yankees lost their top prospect for the rest of the year in Gleyber Torres. He needs Tommy John surgery. He hurt his elbow sliding into home plate. So here we go. Joe Girardi said on Tuesday, "It just seems like players are forgetting how to slide today. I think slides have become a lot more creative at home plate because catchers don't block the plate. And now I'm starting to rethink the rule, thinking the base runners are the ones really at risk here because you see more guys slide in head first than ever before." He said they see a corner of the bag, they think they can manipulate their body to score the run. And every time I see a guy slide head first, I cringe. Just because you worry about the hands, you worry about their shoulders. The only thing that would work in baseball The only thing that would work is if baseball came out and said head first was illegal, because you're asking someone to take the competitiveness out of them that helped them get to that point, and that's not going to happen. So he also goes on to talk about Gleyber Torres and how, this is big. He says, to me, it's a tiny setback. He's going to miss 300 at-bats or whatever it is, but to me, it's not a huge setback. It's frustrating for him and all of us because you wanted to see him play and continue to develop. But in the whole scope of his career, I don't think it's going to be really that big. So he thinks that we shouldn't have this rule, and it's making it harder for these players, and it's the truth. It's the truth. But before I get out of here, I wanted to talk about the big fight that's going to happen. Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor. It's finally definitely down August 26th. So now I'm going to talk about the odds real quick. When rumblings about the possibility of Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor boxing match began to take shape last year, online gambling site Bovada made McGregor a 10-1 underdog. Now that the fight has been announced, the public seems to like the MMA star who is making his pro debut against the best boxer of his era. As of this, McGregor is a 15-4 underdog. And if you bet $100 on him to grab the victory, you'd win $375 in return. Mayweather, meanwhile, is a minus 550, meaning you would have to wager $550 in order to win $100. The rapid change has been a surprise to Kevin Bradley, Bovada's sports book manager. So now the prop bets for this last week came over. Mayweather by knockout, TKO, or DQ is 4-5. Mayweather by decision or technical decision, 13-10. McGregor by knockout, TKO, or disqualification, 11-2. McGregor by decision or technical decision, 33-1. And let's see, here we go. And the odds as of Monday, I think the odds that I just spoke about were of last year or last week. Now we got of Monday. TKO, knockout, and DQ for Mayweather is 4-7. Mayweather by decision or technical decision is 2-1. McGregor by knockout, TKO, or disqualification is 5-1. And McGregor by decision or technical decision is 16-1. So that's that. And then we have basically we're going to talk about the purse here for both of them and why this is going down. This is the reason why this fight is still going down. Boxing Kingdom estimates the purse could be as high as $400 million from Mayweather and $127 million from McGregor. McGregor has never seen that kind of money in his life in the UFC, and he never will. McGregor, I mean, I can't even tell you how the most that he's made with the UFC in a fight. This is, if you probably put together all of the money that he's made in the UFC compared to what he's going to make now, it's probably the same. Altogether to this one fight. This is why this stuff is going down. And, for everybody that says this is going to be a dumb fight, that you shouldn't buy this, the biggest part of this fight is that the sports fan, all we talk about in the NBA is that what basically, fantasizing about how, especially lately, of like how this team would have done it against this team, and this team would have done it against this team, and this player would have done it against this player. And then we also talk about, like, what if LeBron James was in the NFL? What if this and that? That it's a fantasy. And what they're doing here is taking that fantasy and making it a reality. You're seeing two guys in two different sports going up against each other in one sport. I love it. I'm not going to pay $100 to watch it, but I love it. And also, let's stop with the whole championship tattoos. I don't know why we give this any type of, media. I don't know why we give these people easy access to, money and stuff like that by posting their stupid picture of them putting up a tattoo of what they just put up for their team that hasn't even won a championship yet. I think it's stupid. Let's stop doing it. You're giving people publicity for something stupid. For something stupid. And that's my end of my rant. And that's the end of Running Up the Score. Hope you guys liked it. No Tom today. It's just me. Go download Yelphi. Check us out. Follow us on everything. Go check out our YouTube page. Subscribe to us on that. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at RUTS Sports. The same name on Instagram. Follow us there. Go to Facebook. Like our page. Just follow us on everything. Check us out. But we have, a new... we have a new intro coming next week. I hope you guys are excited about that. We'll be back better than ever. I just used a Mike and Mike line there. And it's kind of sad that they're done now, coming January, whatever it is, or September. Something like that. But that will do it for today's show. I'm Jerry. Be breezy.
You've been listening to Running Up the Score
on Zeno Radio.